If any of you are interested, we are putting this on our website. So if you go on to the Stistan Buddhist Temple website and you log on to Dharma Talks, all the past services are on there. So if anybody wishes to watch the services, it is on our website. Okay. Next, we'll actually have the reading of our pledge, and I'm going to bring it up on the screen now. Where did it go? Disappeared. Okay, I'll be right back. I have to pull it up again. Okay, there we go. Here it is. So for those of you who haven't printed it off and you need to see it, it should be up on the screen. And we'll read this, our pledge together. Our pledge. Breaking out of my shell, I shall carefully share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, ignorance, I shall be open-minded and act accordingly, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I shall share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life we have received, I shall live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who continues to emancipate all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Next, we will have the sutra chanting. We're going to begin by chanting the, shoot. We're going to begin by chanting the Bandhana Tisarana, which I'm going to bring up right now. Okay. The Bandhana Tisarana, and following that, we'll be chanting Gashota Amida, and I'll bring that up too. But first, we're going to be reciting the Bandhana Tisarana. So if you don't have it, it is on your screen. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. Dhamma saranam gacchami. I go to the Dharma for guidance. Sangam saranam gacchami. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Namo. And now we will have the chanting of Gashota Amida. And again, I will just bring that up in just 2 seconds here. And we will be reciting this together or chanting it together. There you go. If you have it printed, please just join with what you have. Otherwise, it's on your screen now. Namandavs, 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 namandavs. Namo Amida Butsu. I recite Amida's name with deep joy and gratitude. I gasho to Amida, trees and grasses and flowers, all grow in great compassion. This light shines throughout the world. I gasho to Amida. Flowers bloom and flowers fall. From the seed sprout new flowers. This is the truth unchanging. I gasho to Amida. Springtime brings the happy birds. Their songs all praise Amida. I join them in Nembutsu. I gasho to Amida. When I call Amida's name, it's Amida calling me. Buddha's voice, my voice are one. I gasho to Amida. When I'm lonely, I recite Namo Amida Butsu. Then Amida takes my hand. I gasho to Amida. Nembutsu in work in play. Every day with Amida. Every moment filled with light. I gasho to Amida. Remember the golden chain. Kindness to all living things. I will follow this teaching. I gasho to Amida. In the clear, bright morning sun, in the fading light of day, in the darkness of the night, I gasho to Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. I live in great compassion. Buddha's power guides my life. I gasho to Amida. Nama The virtues of Amita's vow is shared equally by all, together attaining awakened mind. We are born in the land of peace. Namandavs, 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 namandavs. So again, this morning, I wanted to talk a little bit. Well, first of all, that I'm sure, unless you were living under a rock, you've all probably well aware of the elections going down in the States and how President-elect Biden has been elected as the next president to come in the States, and there was a lot of celebration going on down there. I think most of us, including myself, it was a great sigh of relief from what has happened. But I'll get back to this a little later in my talk. But this past week, I wanted to share a couple of events that happened. So a couple of weeks ago, our temple, we received a donation of office furniture from the Richmond News, thanks to Joy Sang, who provided this wonderful furniture. So over the course of the week, Keiko and our new staff member, Nenako, the two of them have been cleaning out the general office, and we moved in new desks or newer desks, etc., and a filing cabinet and things like that. But watching them clean, of course, I couldn't sit still, so I had to start cleaning my room as well and going through some of my old files and trying to organize things better. And I came across a couple of things that was of particular interest, and I thought it was very appropriate to share, especially now. Over the course of this year, all of us have been affected by the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's made us realize the fragility of our existence. And as I was going through my old notes, I came across an article that I had written in 1995. What this article was about was, various reasons for why we attend services, why we should listen to the Buddha Dharma. And of course, one of the reasons is for for all of you or most of you, one of the major reasons is we attend for memorial services, for funerals, things like that, in which we remember our ancestors. And this is indeed a very important aspect of service, is to pay homage to where we came from. But at the same time, the fundamental teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha state that the Buddha's teachings are there to help us attain enlightenment for ourselves. So it is a teaching in which we reflect on the Dharma to help us guide us in our life. And as I was thinking about this, so in this article that I had written, what had happened, this was around about November, actually, in Toronto, when I was still in Toronto. And we were living in a little bit of an older neighborhood, a settled neighborhood. And we received a major early winter storm. And the winter storms, if it's early in the year, like November, the snow tends to be very wet and heavy snow. And because of the wet and heavy snow, number of power lines went out. And so our house was without power for a number of hours. Now, back then, and growing up as well, I had for many years, I had an aquarium with tropical fish. And I don't know if any of you have ever had tropical fish, but the aquariums are very, very delicate ecosystems. You know, you need your filter, you need the aerator, you need the heater, you need the pH balance of the water to be just right. And you have to constantly upkeep or maintenance of the aquariums are very important. But when this power outage happened for a number of hours, I started worrying because of course, without power, you don't have the pump going, you don't have the filter working, you don't have the heater going. So of course, the water is going to start cooling. And I began worrying about the fish in there. But as I was thinking about this, you know, this ecosystem, we began to realize our existence is part of an ecosystem. And back then, just at that time, this tells you how old it is. So 1995, that's 25 years ago, we were still receiving the National Geographic. Some of you, or most of you, are probably nodding. I see Maya nodding and in fond memory of National Geographics, right? Our boys used it in some of their school projects. I'm sure many of your children have done so, cutting out pictures and whatnot from National Geographic. But at that time, there was a special edition of the National Geographic, and the whole issue was talking about water. And it was very interesting because they were talking about the fact that in our world, 1995, 97% of the water was salt water, basically in our oceans, right? Which meant only 3% is fresh water, of which they said that 2% was stored in our glaciers, icebergs, and underground water table. So only 1% was usable water, surface water for consumption of living beings. You know, that's quite a small percentage, only 1%. But what was interesting, I wanted to see how things have changed. So from 25 years ago to now, and of course, now we have, instead of National Geographic, I could just Google things up. And so I actually Googled it up. And now, not 97%, but today, it's at 97.5% of the water is salt water. And of the 2.5% remaining water, only 0.3% is the surface water. Okay, so it's gone down from 1% to 0.3%. Now, this is because of all the droughts that we've had, et cetera. You probably heard of, you know, the rivers drying up throughout the world. In China, there are many deserts that are increasing in size, and you know, the water is depleting. So in 25 years, we've gone down from 1% to only 0.3% usable water. And it makes us realize how interconnected we are and how fragile our own ecosystem that we live in this world is. You know, we think here, especially, we're very fortunate to be in the most developed area in the world, in North America, where we turn on the tap and we assume the water is going to be coming without any thought. But the reality is, you know, it can just be a matter of several events that can create major changes. We see the wildfires that are going throughout that are causing tremendous harm. And now, of course, with this pandemic, we are made to realize the fragility of our existence. But where the Buddhist teachings comes in is a reminder, the teachings always tell us of the interdependence of life. That in fact, this is the reality of where we are. We are, in fact, interdependent with all of life. We are, in fact, living. There's no other worlds that we can live in at the moment. They're trying to go to other planets and other places to inhabit, but presently, as I know of, we still only have this one world or one globe. And so we are truly interdependent with one another. And so unless we begin to realize this and become aware of this, we will continue to deplete what we have. And so the teachings are always trying to make us realize or be more mindful of what we do. And I think this is a very important word, mindfulness, in our daily life. Trying to be conscious and conscientious of others is very important. So the other thing that I found when I was going through my old stuff was I was also cleaning through my computer. Last week, I think some of you, or those who were joining last week, the Zoom cut out halfway or near the end. It sort of kicked out once. And what had happened is because what I've been doing is recording all these Zoom services and then placing it on to our website. Well, every time I record these Zoom services, the English and the Japanese, I'm recording about 45 minutes to an hour for each session. So it takes up a lot of my memory space in my computer. So after the service last week, I noticed that my computer was basically filled. And because it was full, the memory was full. Once the memory gets close to being at capacity, the computer runs slower and sometimes glitches come in. So I've put all the Zoom services that I had recorded onto another hard disk off this computer. So hopefully that won't happen. But well, as I was going through the computer, I came across some pictures of a trip that some of us took in 2018, a couple of years ago, to Japan. And one of the places, we went there for the accession ceremony of the Gomonshu. There was a change of the Gomonshu from the previous Gomonshu to the present Gomonshu. And there was a special service for that. So a group of us from Canada, we went on a trip. Tomoko was part of that group. And it was a wonderful trip. In October, we visited various places that Shinran Shonin had gone to throughout his life. But one of the places that we attended was a place called Zenkoji. Zenkoji Temple is in Nagano Prefecture, and it's one of the oldest temples in Japan. In fact, it's said that it has the oldest Buddhist statue, which is imported from China at that time. But when you go to Zenkoji Temple, the claim to fame, or one of the famous features of it, is in fact under their altar, Naijin area, they have this very dark, in fact, it's pitch black hallway or tunnel, if you will, under the altar area, the Naiji. And you go down these stairs into this darkness, and you have to sort of feel your way through this tunnel. But about halfway through this tunnel, there's this, well, they call it a key, but it's actually just sort of almost like a hook on the wall. And if you are able to feel that or grasp it, they say that you will attain enlightenment. Okay? So everybody who goes to this temple, obviously you have to pay a little bit of money to do this. Hey, maybe during our renovation for the temple, maybe we should get a tunnel put in underneath our Naiji. Anyways, sorry, I digress. But you go there and you go down these steps and you go through this tunnel. In fact, when you do this, today it's very easy to find the key because there's so many people that go down. You're basically walking like right behind somebody. So and somebody's right behind you. And so as people are feeling across, you can hear them grabbing something up ahead of you. And so it's very easy to find this key. But the whole point is that in this darkness, when you grab it, you find enlightenment in the darkness, right? And it is a symbolism of how enlightenment comes out through the darkness of our ignorance. We can find the enlightenment. And as I was thinking about the, how the interconnectedness of life and what was going on in the States with the presidential race and everything, when I see these elections, it's almost like we're groping around in the darkness. Yes, President-elect Biden did win the election, but there are still 70 million people who are probably distraught at the fact that he won. So we're still groping in this darkness. And what the Buddha's, the enlightenment of the Buddha is transcending all of this daily good or bad that we infer onto others. And it's telling us about the reality of life, the interdependence, as I mentioned, how we're down to 0.3% of the surface water for usage. That is a reality. That is not fiction. And so when we begin to think about the interconnectedness of life, it has nothing to do with goodness or badness. It is the sanctity of life itself. And the Dharma helps us to see that sanctity, helps us reflect on the sanctity of life. And therefore, we become mindful of how we should try to live our lives, how we should try to live our lives with consciousness and conscientiousness. And so as we, reflecting back on why we need to listen to the Dharma, it is so that we can see the truth of our existence and so that we get an appreciation of every single moment that we are here. And so with this, I'd like to ask you, please join me in Gassho as we put our hands together in gratitude and in a mindfulness of why we listen to the teachings, the Dharma. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much. This will conclude the service for today, the Sunday service. If you want to unmute yourselves and say goodbye.